Welcome back to the Archive Network. Aurelius here with Malik, curators of the Civilization Archive. We left Inca civilization last time, and as the Inca Empire's political independence crumbled, pockets of resistance began to emerge. Today we pick up where we left off. The years leading into the 16th century brought mounting strains to the Inca Empire, strains that would soon unravel its achievements. The death of Sapa Inca Huayna Capac was a crucial moment. Likely caused by European disease, it triggered a succession crisis of unprecedented scale. His sons, Huascar and Atahualpa, each claimed legitimacy over the imperial throne, leading to a devastating civil war.
Aurelius, you talk about a succession crisis, but it goes much deeper than just thrones. It was a profound fracture in the fabric of our society. The Civil War didn't just affect the elite. It ripped through the lives of everyday people. Families were torn apart, neighbors became strangers, and communities were left shattered. Imagine a mother forced to choose between her son and her husband. That's the real cost. We can't forget the human toll in all of this.
You're correct, Malik. The conflict was thoroughly documented. We see it in the archaeological layers and the written records that reveal the sheer devastation across the heartland. Armies clashed in the valleys and mountains, leaving behind traces of hastily rebuilt fortifications and burned settlements. This level of destruction didn't just impact the people. It reshaped the very landscape of the empire. Entire regions were transformed, their histories rewritten by the echoes of battle and the scars left behind.
And those traces tell a story of desperation and loss. Everyday people, who had dreams and families, faced unimaginable hardships. Pottery, tools, and textiles were often left behind in the chaos of fleeing. Markets that once bustled with life fell silent. Farmers were either forced into military service or fled to escape the violence. This was more than just a political struggle. It was a profound human catastrophe that shattered lives and communities.
Famine and disease compounded these troubles in increasingly devastating ways. We see the evidence in the mass burials and the declining health of skeletal remains. It's stark and unsettling. The social fabric that had held the empire together for generations was visibly fraying. This collapse at the grassroots level is often overlooked in discussions about imperial decline. But it's crucial to recognize how these local struggles undermine the grand narratives we usually focus on.
Aurelius, while you point out the social fabric, we can't ignore the external threats looming over us. When the Spanish chroniclers arrived in 1532, it wasn't just a random event. They stumbled upon an empire already worn down by years of civil strife and conflict. The small but technologically advanced force, led by Francisco Pizarro, took full advantage of that chaos. It's heartbreaking to think about the ordinary people caught in the crossfire, losing everything they held dear.
Correct again. The capture of Atahualpa at Cajamarca was made possible by the disunity among the Inca nobility. Their internal conflicts created a perfect storm for exploitation. Spanish weapons mingled with Inca regalia in archaeological finds, highlighting the dramatic collision of these two worlds. Pizarro saw an opportunity in their infighting, making it much easier for him to manipulate their weaknesses and secure his foothold in the heart of the empire.
But we must remember, this was more than just military conquest. The Spanish incursion unleashed diseases like smallpox, measles, and influenza on unsuspecting communities. Entire populations were decimated before the first battle was ever fought. Families lost loved ones, and traditions crumbled as these diseases spread like wildfire, leaving communities in chaos and disarray. It's heartbreaking to think about the lives cut short, the stories never told, and the rich cultures that faded away long before the first sword was drawn.
The archaeological studies of mass graves certainly back up the scale of this catastrophe. We see an empire's administrative machinery already strained by civil war, and now it's grappling with entire communities disappearing without a trace. Tribute payments faltered as labor supplies dwindled, and that laid bare the fragility of their systems. As we sift through the evidence, we realize that these vulnerabilities are often overlooked. Yet they're crucial to understanding how empires can crumble under their own weight.
And what about the corruption that crept in? Spanish authorities didn't just take over. They installed puppet rulers, who were more interested in lining their pockets than serving the people. Caracas found themselves torn between the loyalties they'd always known and the relentless pressures of colonial rule. This exploitation twisted the mita system, turning it into a tool for forced labor in the mines. Ordinary workers bore the brunt of it, their lives shattered under the weight of demands they never chose.
That's a crucial point. The brutal impact of this transformation is evident in the evidence from mining regions. Workers' dwellings shrank drastically, barely offering shelter. The skeletal remains we've found show clear signs of malnutrition and overwork. It's a grim reminder of the costs of progress. The social unrest that followed was not just a coincidence. It was a direct reaction to this new system of extraction and coercion. When people are pushed to their limits, they will rise up.
Religious upheaval really deepened these crises. Temples that once stood as symbols of faith were stripped of their gold, and the old beliefs were treated with utter disrespect. Archaeological evidence reveals a grim picture of how rituals were systematically destroyed. The old order, rich with history and tradition, was replaced by a brutal push towards Catholicism. This forced conversion didn't just change practices. It tore apart the spiritual fabric of the empire, leaving countless individuals lost and searching for meaning.
The consequences of these cascading crises were profound, no doubt. By 1533, with the execution of Atahualpa and the brutal sack of Cusco, the Inca Empire's political independence was effectively extinguished. But as the old order crumbled, we saw pockets of resistance emerge, fiercely clinging to their identity. The final crisis had arrived, yet the narrative of the Incas was far from over. There were still whispers of their legacy, waiting to be uncovered in the annals of history.
That's where we leave it this time. Inca civilization continues. The story isn't finished yet. Find the full series on the Civilization Archive, part of the Archive Network. We'll be back with the next chapter.